Coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
We have reached agreement to extend the debt ceiling through early December, and it's our hope that we can get this done as soon as today.
The Senate avoids a default that some experts say would have thrown the country into a recession. We'll have the details. Pfizer seeks approval of their COVID vaccine for young children, what it means for the fight against the coronavirus. The battle over critical race theory reaches Rockbridge County schools, what people are saying and how it could impact school board elections this fall. A new discovery in colonial Williamsburg brings new details to the history of African Americans in Virginia. And will the dreary weather clear up for the weekend? Weather anchor Drew Thompson has your 5-day forecast. All that and more coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Carly Snyder. Later on in the newscast, I'll be joined by Adam Lamberti, Drew Thompson's weather, and James Laverty's sports. We'll begin with the new developments on the race on Capitol Hill to keep the government funded. Senate leaders announced an agreement today to extend the government's borrowing authority into December. The move temporarily averts a federal default that experts say would have devastated the economy. Democratic senators reached across the aisle to accept an offer from Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell. The agreement sets the stage for another battle in December when Congress will again face deadlines to fund the government and raise the debt limit before holidays. City Council is considering a measure to encourage more city workers to get vaccinated. Ian Dardani is live with the story. Ian?
Lexington City Council is considering bonuses to encourage more city employees to get vaccinated against COVID-19. The idea comes after the City Council approved a declaration of local emergency due to the rising cases of COVID-19 in the area. Lexington had a moderately low number of cases in late August, but that more than doubled by late September. Given Lexington's low vaccination rate, Mayor Frank Friedman believes an incentive for those who have not been vaccinated could be beneficial. Members may discuss the idea at tonight's meeting. However, no formal proposal has yet been made. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Ian Dardani.
In other vaccine news, Pfizer is officially asking the FDA to approve its COVID vaccine for emergency use in 5 to 11-year-olds. According to the company's trial data, a dose 1/3 the size used in adults and children 12 and over produced strong immune responses in children when using the same 2-dose regimen as in adults. Pfizer submitted the data to the FDA last month, but didn't say until today it is asking for emergency use authorization. The FDA's advisory committee that discusses vaccines had already planned for a meeting October 26th in anticipation of the request. Pfizer's COVID shot is currently the only one that is fully approved for adults 16 and older in the U.S. It also makes the only vaccine that has been granted emergency usage for 11 to 15-year-olds. Authorities believe they have identified the source of an oil spill off California's coast. The U.S. Coast Guard released this underwater video of the damaged pipeline near Huntington Beach. Officials say a 4,000-foot section of the pipe was bent and had a 13-inch rupture. The busted pipeline spewed up to 144,000 gallons of crude oil into the Pacific Ocean. The oil spill shuttered beaches and threatened wildlife in the area. Officials are investigating what damaged the 41-year-old pipeline. It lies along the ocean floor about 98 feet underwater and is encased in concrete. A preliminary report indicates an anchor could have hooked it and caused the partial tear. Some parents in Rockbridge County believe critical race theory has infiltrated the public school system. School board members and administrators deny its existence in classrooms altogether. But critical race theory is a key campaign issue for those running in the upcoming school board and board of supervisor elections in Carrs Creek. As Brianna Hatch reports, the main conflict stems from differing definitions of critical race theory and a feeling of voicelessness among parents.
School board candidate Morgan McCown says that critical race theory is found inside the libraries of Rockbridge County Public Schools. McCown used the online database to find books like White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo at Rockbridge County High School. but she didn't find any books that countered the ideas in those.
I think the problem arises whenever we're only getting one side of the story and not the other.
Rockbridge County Superintendent Philip Thompson says offering these books gives students access to the full story.
So we're trying to do the right thing by our kids and preparing them for 21st century world.
Some states have recently passed laws banning the teaching of critical race theory in their K-12 schools. But in Rockbridge County, the political action is largely focused on local elections, specifically in Carrs Creek. Vice Chair of the school board, Heather Hostetter, said some candidates are seeking fame instead of understanding the responsibilities of the positions.
And being an effective school board member requires a reasonable, middle-of-the-road view.
But for many parents, critical race theory is less a political issue and more of a personal one.
CRT that was born in college classes and theories is not appropriate for my third grader.
McCown says that teaching material that labels people as oppressors or oppressed because of the color of their skin harms both student and teacher mental health, which is already suffering.
We can't throw in this other, okay, well now you need to feel even worse for yourself or about yourself because of the color of your skin. That really is the definition of racism.
Hostetter says there is no evidence of this actually occurring in Rockbridge County Public Schools. President of the Rockbridge County NAACP, Reverend Reginald Early, said that this labeling is not the focus of critical race theory anyway.
And we're not talking about individual people being racist. We're talking about institutions that practice systemic racism.
Early believes that African American history should be taught in Rockbridge County schools to honor key contributions of Black Americans and address systemic racism.
How are we going to get rid of it if we don't talk about it, if it's not taught?
Mitchell says concerned parents just want open communication with the school board.
Where's a town hall? Where's a frequently asked questions? Where's our accessibility to you so we can be heard?
The school board does not plan to host a town hall, but Hostetter said there are forms in school central offices that parents can fill out to report books and other materials they find concerning. While school board members and administrators plan to no longer address critical race theory, parents can still express their opinions at the election booth in November for the school board and board of supervisors elections. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Brianna Hatch.
A school shooting suspect is in custody after 4 people were wounded yesterday at Timberview High School in Arlington, Texas. One 15-year-old is in critical condition. 18-year-old Timothy Simpkins turned himself into police after the incident. His family says intense bullying pushed him to turn to violence.
There is no justification of anybody who's being hurt. We have to take a look at the fact that bullying is real, and it takes us all. And I do apologize. We ask as a family for forgiveness of any type of hurt. It was never intention for it to go on like this.
Investigators say a fight broke out right before the shooting. Simpkins faces 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, a historic discovery in colonial Williamsburg, what the uncovered site tells us about the history of African Americans in Virginia.
We're not done with the rain yet. Over the next few days, you can expect warm weather with showers and a few thunderstorms. Tune in later for a more detailed forecast.
And later, we turn to local news as Rockbridge County high schools face staff shortages, including a lack of school bus drivers.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Adam Lamberti. Turning now to some state news. The foundation of one of the nation's oldest Black churches has been unearthed at Colonial Williamsburg. The museum announced today that it located the foundation after analyzing layers of soil and artifacts. The church was formed in 1776 by free and enslaved Black people and is still going in a new location. The discovery comes as Colonial Williamsburg places a growing emphasis on African American history in Virginia. Here in Rockbridge County, public schools are searching for solutions to a shortage of bus drivers and substitute teachers. Administrators are considering new bonuses to make bus driving jobs more attractive. But pandemic conditions add stress to the high responsibility positions. The Rockbridge County public school system currently has 5 full-time positions open, including a school counselor and teaching assistants. 3 new businesses have arrived in Lexington in the past few months. and they're doing surprisingly well despite the ongoing global pandemic. Simona Radova has the story.
New businesses keep opening in Lexington despite a recent spike in COVID-19 transmission rates. Tiffany Kidd opened her boutique, Trendy Southern Creations, on June 12th.
I really thought we were a little bit in the clear, and with the Delta variant, it's been nerve-wracking, but we've been staying busy, which I'm thankful for.
Kidd says Lexington lacks clothing options that are affordable and accessible, so she wanted her store to address that.
We do offer, kids stuff and little bell-bottom outfits and lots of Aztec and Western style items also.
Not far away from Tiffany's boutique, Brian Torrance decided to open Ugly Duck's Deli.
We want to bring in what the people here want to have, and we just want to grow into a really interesting place to come and hang out.
Torrance used the opportunity to start his third business after another Lexington business shut down and the space became vacant. The deli has been open for about a week now and offers ample parking as well as freshly made sandwiches, baked goods, and coffee. All the way down the street from Ugly Duck's, Tommy Stewart is making an addition to Lexington's entertainment scene. In less than 2 weeks, Tommy's Arcade should welcome its first customers.
I saw a lot of people that, their eyes would light up when they see arcade machines, whether that's, kids just because they see lights and moving pictures and that interests them, or maybe it was just people who grew up with arcade machines and going to arcades like I did.
The arcade's opening was put on hold due to shipping delays, and Stewart is still waiting on a few of his machines to arrive. But he already has a pretty good mix of genres, including an almost 40-year-old Donkey Kong machine.
I'll have to play it by ear.
Which may be good advice for any business owner during a pandemic. For the Rockbridge Report, this is Simona Radova.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, flash floods strike parts of Alabama, leaving casualties and damage in their path. Drew Thompson will have the latest. After a dreary week of weather in Lexington, can we expect things to turn around? We'll have your weekend forecast and a look at next week's conditions. And later, James Laverty will catch you up on everything you need to know from the world of sports, including some late-night drama in the MLB playoffs.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Drew Thompson. Flash floods turned deadly in parts of Alabama last night as crews wait to begin cleanup. Here's the latest. In Alabama, 2 people were killed and 2 others are missing after flash flooding overnight. Crews across Birmingham rescued dozens of people trapped in their homes and cars. Up to 10 inches of rain fell across the area Wednesday night into Thursday. Officials in Arab say the body of a 4-year-old girl was found. And in Union Grove, officials say an 18-year-old woman died. In Hoover, fire officials say a vehicle entered a flooded area and was immediately picked up and pinned against a guardrail. Crews could not get the 2 people inside the car, which ended up being pushed over the rail. Dive teams are now looking for the 2. The fire chief from nearby Palem said the city had nearly 300 calls for help, rescued 82 people from homes, and about 15 to 20 rescues from vehicles. The National Weather Service Birmingham says a flood watch remains in effect through 7 p.m. due to the potential for scattered showers and storms and more heavy rainfall. Jefferson County Emergency Management Director Jim Coker says the impact of the flooding will be felt over the next several days. Crews will be out Friday checking damage and checking infrastructure, everything from roadways to pipelines to power lines. Hi, we're here with a live look down Washington Street. As you can see, it's pretty cloudy outside today. For today's weather almanac, we had a high of 72 today. Will be a low of 60 tonight. Right now, barometric pressure is standing at 30 and 29/100 inches of mercury. There's no wind today, it's all calm, and the humidity is standing at 77%. A quick look at the radar here. As you can see, there's quite a storm system to the west of Lexington, and it looks like it's tracking northeast right now. And for regional temperatures, it's currently 68 in Roanoke, 66 in Covington, 69 in Lexington, 69 in Buena Vista, 69 in Stanton, 71 in Charlottesville, and 71 in Lynchburg. For the 5-day forecast, Friday, we're expecting some rain with a high of 74, a low of 58. Saturday, also some rain with some thunderstorms with a high of 69 and a low of 56. Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 76 and a low of 56. Monday, also partly sunny with a high of 78 and a low of 57. And Tuesday, partly sunny again with a high of 79 and a low of 58. Coming up after the break, a major film franchise returns to theaters after a significant delay. what to expect from Daniel Craig's last movie as James Bond. And later, Washington and Lee football and men's soccer continue their hot streaks after a weekend of competition. James Laverty will catch you up on what you might have missed in the world of sports.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Carly Snyder. Daniel Craig's last outing as 007 had an arduous journey to movie screens. No Time to Die finally arrives in theaters tomorrow, nearly 2 years after it was originally planned. CNN's Rick Damigella reports.
James Bond, licensed to kill.
Over the nearly 6 decades of his big screen career, James Bond has faced many challenges, but perhaps nothing has been as challenging as the release of his latest adventure, No Time to Die.
Come on, Bond, where the hell are you?
The run-up to Daniel Craig's last appearance as 007 could almost be a Bond movie plot.
This has been a bumpy road for James Bond, and I think what we've seen out of the Daniel Craig Bonds is that they've all been a little bit bumpy, particularly for the actor. He's had lots of mishaps along the way. They've had work stoppages because of injuries, but No Time to Die started with Danny Boyle was actually tasked to be the director on the movie, and I was really excited with that news.
The film was originally slated to release in November 2019.
But then, of course, things shifted over, and Cary Fukunaga, who had made a name for himself directing True Detective, was brought on board to direct this new one.
That was the start of the delays.
The next date was shifted to February of 2020, and then all of the news around COVID-19 started to hit everywhere, and then it was shifted to the spring of 2020, and then the fall of 2020, and then the summer of 2021.
I have to finish this.
And it's finally going to be released this fall, and it looks phenomenal. It looks like a terrific send-off for Daniel Craig.
And life is all about leaving something behind, isn't it?
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
And now we'll bring in a different James, me, James Laverty, to talk sports. Yesterday, the Washington and Lee men's soccer team rolled into Ferrum, and they caught the Panthers with their hands up this weekend as they extended their winning streak to 9 with a 5-1 victory. Junior midfielder Simon Bass led the way with 2 goals. And in football, the Washington and Lee team won another close one this weekend on the road against Hampton Sydney. Tied 24-24 in the fourth quarter, Josh Brees led the way again with a 15-yard rushing touchdown that after a 2-point conversion put the Generals up 32-24. The Generals, without their place kicker, went for 2 after every score. Hampton City came back with a touchdown of their own, but failed on their own 2-point conversion as the Generals went on to win 32-30. And in the pros, this weekend was about as good as it gets for a Boston sports fan who saw all 4 of their teams play in 4 days, as well as an appearance from a former friend. First, the Bruins opened up their preseason Saturday with a 4-3 overtime loss to the New York Rangers. But then all eyes were in Foxborough on Sunday night as Tom Brady made his much-anticipated return to play against his former team for the first time. Brady felt the pressure early, sailing multiple passes over his receivers' heads, while Belichick put on a defensive masterpiece versus one of the league's best offenses. But a Brady-led drive gave the Buccaneers a field goal for a 19-17 lead with 2 minutes remaining. Then on 4th and 3 with 59 seconds left, Bill Belichick opted to attempt a 56-yard field goal in the pouring rain that doinked off the upright to give the Bucs the win. Then on Monday night, the Boston Celtics opened their preseason against the Orlando Magic. Jaylen Brown led the way with 25 points as the Celtics held on for a 98-97 comeback victory. And now we move on to baseball with another installation of one of MLB's most storied rivalries, as the Boston Red Sox hosted the New York Yankees in the American League wildcard game. The Yankees' $300 million man did not bring his A game as Garrett Cole played through an injured hamstring and was taken out in the 3rd inning after giving up 3 runs. The Sox would go on to win 6-2, and they will play the Rays in the American League Division Series in a series that starts tonight. And as we are underway right now, about an hour ago, the Astros and White Sox kicked off Game 1 of their ALDS series, and as of right now, the Astros are off to an early 3-0 lead. In the National League, last night the Cardinals lost in a heartbreaking 3-1 game as Chris Taylor hit a walk-off 2-run homer against Cardinals closer Alex Reyes to send the Dodgers to the NLDS series against a 107-win San Francisco Giants team. On the other side of the National League, the Braves and Brewers begin a 5-game series tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern Time. And in a little more serious news, 18 former NBA players were charged today with pocketing about $2.5 million illegally by defrauding the league's health and welfare benefit plan. Authorities say the scam involved claiming fictitious medical and dental expenses. U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss had the following to say at a press conference.
Today, we announced charges against 19 individuals for conspiring to defraud a health care plan that provides benefits to active and former National Basketball Association players. The FBI arrested 16 defendants this morning in 12 districts across the country. One defendant, Sebastian Telfer, will be presented later today before a magistrate judge in the Southern District of New York. The remaining defendants will be presented before judges in their districts of arrest. These 19 defendants, including 18 former professional basketball players, are all charged with participating in a conspiracy to defraud the NBA health benefits plan.
Imagine running the Twin Cities Marathon 4 times all at once without stopping. A Minnesota man is doing nearly that. He's running 100 miles, and it's all for Minnesota Veterans Suicide Prevention and Awareness Day. CNN's Jennifer Alston shows us how he hopes his run can help veterans.
A persistent rain is enough to clear the trail of even the running lovers.
I hate running. Absolutely hate it.
Caleb Wedger is clearly not one of those people.
I absolutely loathe it.
Unfortunately for Caleb, this run is as short as this rain is dry.
We're on mile 80 and a half.
81.
Caleb's been doing this for a while, yeah.
So we've been going for 27, well, just ticked over to 28 hours right now. I took one little 20-minute nap.
Up and down the same trail between North Branch and Hugo.
We were able to kind of run a lot of the first 50, but now my legs are so tore up that we're shuffling our way to the end. I'm in a world of pain, simply put.
Simply moving until they reach this.
So we're gonna do 100. Yeah, we're gonna do 1 mile for every vet that on average takes their own lives in the state of Minnesota.
A number that Caleb, who served in the Minnesota National Guard, couldn't leave behind.
And that just kind of clung onto my heart and didn't let go.
The event is called 100 Too Many.
Ben Elfelt is president of the Freedom Fishing Foundation. Every penny raised from sponsors during Caleb's run goes to them.
We take veterans and military families fishing, all expenses paid.
That 100 Minnesota veterans that take their own lives on average, estimated, you know, that's not 100 people, that's 100 families that are affected by suicide.
Caleb would know.
My dad was a great man, beloved by many people. Unfortunately, he just wound up in that downward spiral of depression and wound up taking his own life. And that's kind of why I have a heart for families that have gone through that.
Motivation, as the man who hates running,
I felt better,
encourages everyone to keep going.
But we're still moving forward.
That's all for today's edition of the Rockbridge Report. You can stay current on regional news by logging on to rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. And join us again Tuesday at 3:30 for a Rockbridge Live update.